Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me apologize straight off the bat. That's a clip from one of my favorite movies, The Watermelon Man. That's Godfrey Cambridge, who's in the lead character. So let me apologize. I forgot there's a scene where he actually moons the camera. He's a white guy, very racist in this particular movie setup. He's a white guy, very racist, very condescending to black people. He goes home one day, works out, wakes up, and he's black. So, brothers and sisters, aside from the behind that you saw in the clip, apologize for that. I forgot that was there. I haven't seen it in a while. Yeah, but that's no excuse. Aside from that, brothers and sisters, that was the first exposure, if you will, to this whole idea that's growing that's called transracial identity. Transracial identity, which is people who feel like they can just, I feel like, or I prefer to be black, or I prefer to be white. Most of the cases, it's, prefer to be black. You used to have a term of black people acting white, but this is just a whole nother level. That movie, that was directed by Melvin Van Peebles, is a classic. So if you get a chance to watch it, there's some language stuff, but nothing beyond the pale of what you hear in a regular rap song or stuff that you hear on Fox News. Check out The Watermelon Man with Godfrey Cambridge, because that scene, brothers and sisters, says a lot about it. It says a lot about race in America today. And ironically, that movie was released, I believe, in the I think in 1970 or something like that, which totally encapsulate everything we're going through today. We're talking about people who don't like minorities, don't like immigrants, but they're married to minorities and immigrants. You have people, and this is interesting, brothers and sisters, because before I get started, let me welcome everybody to the show that hasn't been on the show before. I kind of get into it because we have our usual core group of people that come. If you haven't been on the show before, thank you for coming. We appreciate you coming. That's first and foremost. Second of all, you're part of the family. So if you have anything you want to say, please don't be shy. Jump in that comment section. Put out what you're talking about. If you don't have a comment, then we ask you, just share your generosity, share your compassion, and let us know how you're doing. And make sure that you get your shout out. That's what it's called, ShOUT show. Part of a shout out is that I'm going to listen to your ideas, give you a shout out. Because I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to be the host. This is not my platform. This is everybody's platform. And I want to give a quick shout out to my brother. I'm going to call you. I got tied up with some stuff, so please forgive me, but I will give you a call. All right. Oh, and for the people who have not been here before, welcome. You now official part of the ShOUT family. ShOUT Soldiers, a very eclectic group of people. And this topic, brothers and sisters, we started talking about this before. I talked about the idea of blackface, but when I talk about the idea of blackface, last year I began to talk about it in the context of people who were putting on blackface because it was now safe, or even more so than being safe, it was more fashionable. And people putting on blackface because they were buying into what is falsely attributed to black people as black victimhood. You see, black people didn't make themselves victims. That's a big deal. So black victimhood is you're making yourself a victim. They're not making themselves victims. Just like so many other people who are out there in Rohingya, in China, and some of these countries, these are people who are victimizing folks, somehow trying to make them the core, if you will, of their own problems, the cause of their own suffering. So won't get into that. Before I actually get into things, I got stars in the building here. Let me shout out everybody, because I think this is going to be an interesting topic. First and foremost, I want to shout out Sister Rabina. Not Sister Rabina, I'm sorry, I'm slipping. Sister Sultana, thank you for coming on the show, our consultant producer. Always in the house, in the building, make sure everything goes well and comes off correct. Sister Aika, all the way from Indonesia. I know you're busy. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We always appreciate your presence. Big shout out to Indonesia and your family. Sister Rabina, our research director, who actually got me started on this topic today. I was going to do something different, but I thought this was interesting because this follows a pattern, brothers and sisters. And I hope you're patient with me as I talk about the pattern that it follows. The whole idea of transracial does come out of the LGBT crew, if you have to say crew, LBGTQ community. But let me tell you how it does it. Let me finish inviting people to the show. Brother Altaf Rashid, how you doing, beloved? I hope everything is warming up in Toronto. I heard some good things are happening up there. Thank you again for spending your time being a part of the show. May Allah bless you and keep you and bless your family as well as everyone else here on the show. Brother JT, good talking to you early. We got started on a really good conversation when I was driving home. We got to finish that conversation because I'm dying to understand or not understand. I want to hear your feedback. You've been my brother from day one, my day one from day one. So listen, we're going to talk about that. And again, apologize. I apologize for not being able to call you back early. I got home, had to get on the show. All right. And we have Sister Rabina. I prefer to give them all a good hard slap, these transracials. I am going to say something, Sister Rabina. I am scared to say transracial in mixed company because I'm afraid if I say it as an African American, as a black man, as a black Muslim, then I'm going to give license for other people to say it. Sort of like the N-word. That's why I don't like to say the N-word, because I don't want to give license to other people to say it because they think it's all right with me. And I don't want to say transracial because the idea of race, for lack of a better word, is a historical normative, if you will. When I say historical normative, we all know what race is. You now have a situation where people feel as though they can switch the conversation. And the conversation that they're trying to switch is to make it personal. Is to make it personal. And what's going to happen is much the same as what happened with the LBGT crew is, I say crew. I know it's supposed to be Q. Crew. I say what I want to say. But what's going to happen is you're going to be found in some regards deficient if you hold a position that's not supportive of this idea. You will be found somehow out of pocket, somehow out of step, somehow hostile if you don't buy into this misnomer. So I'm saying that, and I mean that. I know Brother Adam has had something to say about this. Probably got a joke. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And it's interesting because a couple shows ago, I chose a video from an old SNL clip, Eddie Murphy, classic clip. I didn't get it cleared, so they shut down my show. But YouTube shut down the show. But what they did, it was a piece with Eddie Murphy. He goes undercover as a white man. Undercover as a white man. It is the funniest thing that you could see. But also, really, really sharp writing and very, very rare insight in terms of race. Eddie Murphy was right on board with that. So people go, preach, why are you talking about transracial? I'm going to talk about transracial because I'm going to talk about the LGBTQ movement because they are playing for the same playbook. They're playing from the same playbook. What goes along with this whole thing of transracial is the conversation that it didn't start with individuals wanting to prefer other races. It started with transracial adoption. Do you hear what I'm saying? Transracial adoption, which is black families adopting white kids when it used to be white families adopting black kids. And my whole point of that is you love who you love in that regard. I don't have a problem with that. You know, if someone wants to give you love, give a child love, okay, I'm cool with that. There are going to be some problems in the race identity game, but if you can work it out, you can work it out. Leave that alone. The larger discussion, brothers and sisters, is that the LGBT crew, Q&A, I'm just going to say, you know who I'm talking about. Like Dave Chappelle, the alphabet people. Okay, here's the thing about that particular community. The idea was we want to love who we want to love, okay? Then it became we want to have families. This is where it got tricky. We want to have families. Well, technically, a man and a man can't have a child. A woman and a woman together can't have a child. So it became this campaign that somehow we'll be able to adopt a child. So it wasn't transracial. It was gender issues adopting children, trying to frame the argument that two men could raise a young girl or two women could raise a young boy as couples. And then it moved on to being married. So the idea along the way is that we're pushing family. We're pushing family without actually recognizing and really just understanding what is the nuclear family. So it was I don't want to say it's an attack, but it's an opportunity or an execution to put an amendment on what family is. And so you have these things. Now, stick a pin in that right now. Stick a pin in that right now, because I have something that's it's a little bit even more deeper than that. I know you don't believe it, but it's a little bit deeper than that, brothers and sisters. And here's what it is. I don't know if you've been watching commercials lately. I watch commercials incessantly. Sometimes I watch commercials more than I watch the actual shows. Because in commercials, in marketing, people invest a lot of money in trends. Let me say it again. In commercial marketing, people invest a lot of money in trends. Let me tell you what I am seeing in marketing and trends. I am seeing the move away from same race families. I'm talking black mom, black dad, black children. Let me say it again. Black mom, black dad, black children. Not seeing that. And you're going away from seeing the white mom, white dad, white children. White mom, white dad, white children. Now, black people, we've been indoctrinated for a long time. The first adopted family we ever saw was the Drummond family with Arnold and Willis, Different Strokes. And we watched that show and we grew up with that show. But what we didn't understand was there was a deep thing going on there. It normalized in some regards the fact that these two children, if you will, could find no refuge with a black family. And it's not that Mr. Drummond took them in, but he was a rich man taking in two black children. And he wasn't even married. You hear what I'm saying? Mr. Drummond wasn't married. He had his own daughter, white daughter, adopted two black kids, didn't have a woman, white or black, in that show. He had Miss Garrett, who was the maid. So, preach, where you going with this? I'm going to tell you exactly where I'm going with this. Another movie about transracial adoption. It was called The Blind Side, with Sandra Bullock and another guy who wound up going on to play, if you will, play football. He actually played, I think, for the Baltimore Ravens. Another black child who was adopted by, you heard it, you guessed it, a white family. So I've seen this happen before, and I don't really get into that. I'm fine, but the thing that's happened now is becoming strategy. When I said I look at commercials, I am looking at commercials that are pushing very powerful narratives outside of this is a transracial adoption. I'm seeing more proliferation of white men in commercials with mixed children. White men with mixed children. It's not even the idea that it's an adoption. It's an idea that this was a straight marriage. And we are supposed to understand that the relationship between this man and this woman happened. We're just supposed to accept it. Okay? It's the same thing going on all over. There was a movie. There was a show. There was a show in the United States, one of the first shows that was supposed to be featuring a Muslim. I can't remember the name of it, but the idea was the Muslim kid gets adopted by this white family, or they take him in on an exchange program, and they treat it like it was a family. It didn't last long, but you see what I'm saying, brothers and sisters. Something is afoot. Nissan Car Company has several commercials of mixed family. In fact, they had one commercial that's crazy because the father is white, the mother is black, the little girl is black, and the little boy is albino. I'm like, come on now. Very few white people are churning out albino kids. But here you have it. And the argument continues. Brothers and sisters, the argument continues. Because we talk about appropriation. I had another thing up on here, brothers and sisters, about a young girl. She's an Instagram model. They had her picture side to side. She's very white on this side, and the other side extremely dark. And they talked about her trying to, quote unquote, get promotion and marketing deals. And she got them. But she claimed, no, that's not what I'm doing. But she kinked her hair up. The makeup was excessively dark. And I almost tend to say, hey, you know what? Let me give her a little love. Let me give her the benefit of the doubt. But here's the problem with the benefit of the doubt. A woman named Rachel Dolezal, I think that's her last name, did the exact same thing and wound up fooling everybody and leading a chapter of the NAACP in the state of Washington. Do you hear what I'm saying? She wound up doing that. And there are a couple of other women. I'm talking about academics. I'm not talking about people going through things. These are academic women teaching. Hear what I'm saying? Teaching children who are Black, who are Latino, who are these children of color, teaching them, giving them this the auspices of I'm one of you, and they're not one of us. And it goes all the way up to Black Lives Matter. A professor at the University of Wisconsin, fooling people. A professor at George Washington University, or was it George Mason, fooling people. And they weren't punished. You know, they might have lost their jobs. They weren't punished. But it all makes sense because you can get the book deal. You can get the book deal and understand. But this is deeper. Because at some point in time, brothers and sisters, it just goes too doggone far. And when I say it goes too doggone far, we're talking about people who are saying, I don't even know where this term came from, transracial. But now you have people who feel like they have transracial autonomy, transracial access, that they can go back and forth. And when I say meaning go back and forth, I'm not talking about I'm white over here, I'm Black over here. I can now claim victimhood. I can now claim agency as this person or that person and then go back over here. Now, what I'm going to show you is nothing short of weird. Oh, I got some more shouts out. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh, Sister Satana. Sister Tata, you got to give me the rest of the greeting now. I want the peace. I want the mercy, and I want the blessing. You got to spell it all out. And we got Matthew 6:19. How you doing, brother? Welcome to the show, brother. Welcome to the show, brother Matthew. Thank you for coming on. And here's another one. That's right. She was Arab and got a BBC Arabia program off of it. So you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And I just went to this whole thing of what marketing is looking like. And nobody's saying it. I'm like, whatever happened to black men with little black men with little black girls, little black boys in film? And I think it's even deeper than that, because you are literally removing, hear what I'm saying, literally removing the scope of Black fatherhood in these commercials. And they're powerful, brothers and sisters. If you ever heard about the old toothpaste thing of advertising, and it goes, there's one toothpaste company that shall remain unnamed. They looked at their report on their toothpaste and they said, wow, the ads that we put in the white community are getting the same amount of traction as the ads we put that aren't in the Black community. Like, we're advertising over here. We're not even advertising over here. We're selling the same amount of toothpaste. So what did they do? They got Black people in the commercial, put them on the billboard, and showed them with the toothpaste, and the sales of that toothpaste with Black people shot through the roof. We now have a reversal of that. We now have a situation and a scenario, brothers and sisters, and we need to address it because it's happening in the Muslim community too. It's happening. It's already happened in terms of acting. We co-opt Muslim ideas and sprinkle them through a movie, or we put them in a film, or we put them in music. And people without permission, and without forethought, they co-opt some of the things that are very, very dear to us. Very, very dear to us. This is why I have a problem with the whole thing of taking the Black family apart, brothers and sisters. People don't know how difficult it was to develop a core understanding of black families. People don't know. Up until the late 1800s, marriages weren't even recognized between a black man and a black woman. Meaning you could have a whole family and your marriage wasn't even recognized. And that should be no surprise because it was forced to have families within the confines of slavery. That's deep. But now, you now have a situation, a scenario, whereby through religious tradition, through black liberation efforts, and the idea to break away from core understanding and core engagement of racist practices and institutional racism, you now have people who develop the concept of family when overall society didn't even value them as human beings. That's very deep, brothers. That's very deep. So here we go. I'm going to throw this up here. Adam, what you got for me, brother? What are you talking about, Peter? A few years ago, a friend pointed out to me that every couple on the Canadian TV commercials is mixed race. Ever since, I've not been able to unsee that. Well, that's Canada. And you're right. You're right. I've been to Toronto. But we talking about the United States of America, Adam. We're talking about the United States of America, the United Snakes of America. Thank you very much, Brother Ali. And we're talking about a tradition that is totally different than Toronto. That's why, don't you know, that's why black people like to come to Toronto. People like to go to Toronto and hang out, go to Canada, because it's not the United States. It doesn't have the historical imperative, the negative historical imperative about diversity here. That's why Canadians come here and freak out like, I got to get the heck up out of here. So, that said, Brother Adam, that said, Brother Rabina, and Sister Satana, Ali, I'm waiting for you to jump in here. And Sister Satana Whitfield, I'm waiting for y'all to jump in. Because if you're not going to jump in now, I'm going to run this video and I'm going to explain to you without explaining to you what the dangers are of this thing. Because it can become absolutely absurd. So, I'm going to cue this up without without apology. I'm going to show you the merits of this thing when it just runs unabated. It runs unchecked. Here we go. And before I tell you this is an actual news story. Because you know I'm a comedian, but I couldn't make this up. Stay tuned.
Described yourself back then as a beautiful girl. So if you were a beautiful girl, why do this?
Yeah, I liked my body from the beginning and to now every step. But like the boys, like their brand new car, they love to work on it. And if they see, wow, nice results, let's find this piece, and so tuning is a little bit more than expected.
Well, there's been a lot of work going on, a lot of body work going on, that's for sure. 24 procedures. What aside from the obvious, what have you had done?
Also, when we last met, I was much smaller. Also, actually, I have 7,100 cc each. But not only my skin color changed. Also, in meanwhile, also I've realized that my eye color has changed, my eyebrow color has changed, and also my regrowing hairs are more black and more darker and going curly.
So we should explain this a little bit further, because this has changed. Martina has come around because of these tanning injections, and it was one of your surgeons that recommended that you should use these tanning injections because you weren't getting the deep tan that you wanted just by going out into the sun. So how was that kind of sold to you? Was it explained that this would be a side effect, that you could get a very deep tan and that your eye color would change?
Yeah, also when in the constellation they said it will tan the skin more than if you go only in the sun. But for me, this new medicine works especially good. Also, I have to say, I didn't inject myself. The doctor did it. Also, there were 3 injections in January and nothing else, only a little bit sun. And now I'm really dark.
So this has happened after 3 injections?
Yeah, in the middle of January.
Wow.
Ooh, I wasn't gonna laugh because I'm sure somewhere in all that work that lady got, she really thinks sincerely she is black. What I realized is in all them injections, she did not have any black friends when she did it. And after all the injections, she won't have any black friends either. And I guess the significance of her saying that I didn't inject myself, the doctors did it, somehow obscures her of her responsibility. And then she said she did it in January. I hope it was a Martin Luther King sale for when she got those shots. Brothers and sisters, while I laugh and laugh heartily, somewhere along the line, there's someone looking at this video and going, wow, that looks pretty good. People, even my mother's on the line with this. Transracial trends now are very confusing, especially to the kids. You said it, Mama. But here's my point, if I'm allowed to make one. My point is, does she really look black? Are you fooling anybody? I mean, don't you know black people know black people? We do know black people. It's not like the old movies where you put shoe polish on your face and black people go, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. This lady has engaged, brothers and sisters, in the art of blackface. I don't care what anybody says. It's blackface and it's demeaning. And somehow they've couched this behavior that she just woke up and one day wanted to be black. That's like me waking up one day and want to be white. And I said, I want not only to be white, I want to be racist. And I'm going to go to a KKK rally or a neo-Nazi rally. And they're going to go, thank you, my brother. And they go, what are you doing here, Negro? That's not what they're going to call me. Like, hey, I want to be white. And they're going to go, okay, well, as long as you do, welcome to the club. It's not welcome to the club, brothers and sisters. Yes. And here we go. Yes, she has been many times to Africa and she's lived with the African community to learn the culture and traditions. Yes, Rabina, Sister Rabina, you're correct. But it don't make her African. And I'm going to tell you, it's good she went with African people because she came around black people. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be an issue. You know, and maybe it was easier when I think about it to go around African people because black people here in the United States have a distinct history with this exact type of behavior. Now, I was talking to my brother today about one of my favorite comedians, Pigmeat Markham, who was with the last black comedian to stop putting on blackface. And it was such a landmark thing, brothers and sisters, because it ended it. And here I am watching this woman. I don't want to watching this woman, but she's on TV, morning news, and they are doing this as a feature. And as my mother said, kids get confused. They do get confused. And in some regards, we get confused. And the more and more you see it, brothers and sisters, from the mainstream, this is what's going to happen. The more and more you see it in the mainstream, the more and more you're going to get used to it. Believe me, there was something in the Muslim community called Islamophobia. And the more and more we talked about it, the more and more it's in the mainstream, guess what happened? We got used to it. So you can't throw up your arms anymore because you're used to it. The mistreatment, the disrespect, we're used to it. In fact, some of us benefit from it because we think we can get something. And that's sad. So look, this is Rabina with the last word here. This lady looks like a Barbie doll gone wrong. Yeah, I didn't know Barbie doll made minstrels. Sister Sultana says, to love what Allah has made you, you have to love yourself. I'm going to go with that as a lead argument and an end argument as well, Sister Sultana. You gotta love what Allah has made you. You know, I'm not a tall guy, but you never saw me taking injection pills to be tall or be lighter. And the fact of the matter is, to do that, causing a certain type of reality that's not mine. I want someone else's reality. I want somebody else's truth. So hear it from me, brothers and sisters. While I laughed at that lady in that thing, I laughed, but I was concerned because it wasn't real to me. The scary part is it was real to her. So let me respectfully close out. And I want to thank everybody for my mom said it's 2 p.m. in the LGBTQ community. It's been 2 p.m. in that spot. And you can't tell me any different. You're right, Mom. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to close out by asking everybody, please, let's look at these situations for what they are and find some type of reality, if you will. Let's find something that actually makes sense, if you will. And hopefully, these people will come back to their God-given natural sense, if you will, and stop doing this. I'm tired of seeing it, brothers and sisters. I am tired of seeing it. So, let me bring this up here. Apologies, I have something I need to show. We have a new, brothers and sisters, we have a new advertiser on the show. And this, I'm having a hard time bringing it up. I don't know why. But in any event, the product is called Be. Here it is. The product is called Be Financially Independent. Our sponsor, Maxine BK from Prime America, runs Be Financially Independent. She's a financial advisor. She offers everything in terms of financial advising, also aspects of stock investment, things like that. I'll get this up here on the screen. Please forgive me. I had this thing set up and I messed it up. So to my Aunt Maxine, I apologize, but I'll work it out for you guys. All right, I'll have it up tomorrow, inshallah. So again, my brothers and sisters, this was a great show. I appreciate you, and forgive me for laughing at that situation. But sometimes you just gotta let it out. In fact, here is the ad. I got it up here. Work with me, brothers and sisters. I'm gonna put it up. There it is, right there. Increase and grow your income and financial services. She's talking about passive income and active income, and she will do training. So for that, I have information. She has a website. The website is www.befinancialindependent. Reach out, check her out, because she's done some amazing work with myself and my family. So aside from that, brothers and sisters, it's been a hoot. I appreciate you. And I hope very soon that these problems begin to work out, because 2020 was weird, but I had a bad feeling 2021 might be just as weird, if not a little bit weirder. So if anything we can hold on to is the fact that we get to come here on the show and be ourselves and talk about some of these things, and hopefully the world will turn around a little bit, and the idea of logic and reason will return to the center of conversations. And you know what? We'll be a little bit happier, and we'll stop confusing our children, as my mom says. So, appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I want you to have an exceptional day. This is Preacher Mars. I'm the host of the Shout Out Show. Shout out again to my Shout Out Show family. I appreciate you, and I'll be back tomorrow, Allah willing. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shout Out Show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next Shout Out Show. Simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from ShOUT. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out ShOUT.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.